Conventional wisdom suggests that psychological manipulation only happens to naive or uneducated. The actual mechanics of influence are far more sophisticated. A manipulator creates an environment where you gradually restrict your own choices, eventually walking into an invisible cage of your own design. Empathy and conscientiousness often become liabilities in these dynamics. High intelligence provides the tools to rationalize an abuser's behavior, turning self-reflection into a weapon used against oneself. These patterns frequently start under the guise of deep concern, logical necessity, or effective leadership. Understanding how these 7 tricks function in daily life is the starting point for building the awareness required to identify them in real time. Phase 1 involves infiltration. This often begins with emotional mirroring, where a person rapidly adopts your specific values, speech patterns, and personal interests. This mimics a natural social bond to hack your mirror neurons. It bypasses your internal threat detection system to create a sudden feeling of safety and alignment. You can test the depth of this connection by introducing a complex disagreement. A genuine peer will engage with the nuance, while a mirror will often pivot instantly to match your new position. This infiltration can escalate into love bombing. The target is overwhelmed with intense affection, excessive gifts, and declarations of devotion within the first few weeks of meeting. This behavior floods the brain with dopamine and oxytocin, manufacturing a biological addiction to the manipulator's presence. These same principles were observed in cult recruitment strategies used to rapidly isolate recruits from their existing support networks. Intense early affection serves as a calculated down payment, intended to buy unquestioning loyalty before the manipulator begins to pull away. Once trust is established, the manipulator moves into entanglement. Here, they begin to extract compliance through guilt manipulation. They position themselves as a perpetual martyr, weaponizing your empathy to create an atmosphere of unspoken emotional debt. Defense involves separating factual events from emotional fiction, acknowledging the feeling of guilt without acting on the manufactured obligation. The manipulator also employs reverse psychology, bypassing logical defenses by targeting the victim's pride. This triggers psychological reactance. When a person perceives a threat to their autonomy, they often instinctively move to prove their competence by taking the exact action the manipulator desired. In this phase, the victim begins to police their own behavior based on engineered deaths and the illusion of free choice. Phase 3 is subjugation. The covert influence shifts into psychological punishment, specifically the weaponized use of the silent treatment. Social exclusion triggers the same neurological pathways as physical pain. The brain processes weaponized silence identically to a severe bodily injury. If you apologize to restore connection, you reward the behavior. Protection comes from maintaining a neutral peace and refusing to chase the manipulator. Silence is often followed by fear-based control, where vague, unpredictable eruptions of anger are used to regulate behavior. Behavioral science identifies this as intermittent reinforcement. An unpredictable schedule of punishment produces the most persistent and resistant behavioral responses. These randomized spikes in anxiety force the brain into a state of chronic hypervigilance, where the target is constantly scanning for danger. Subjugation aims to exhaust the nervous system, forcing the victim to abandon their own needs to manage the manipulator's emotional state. The final trick is gaslighting, a systematic assault on a person's grip on reality. This tactic takes its name from a 1944 film in which a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is insane. He secretly dims the home's lighting while insisting that the changes his wife observes are hallucinations. The goal is to destroy epistemic trust, stripping away the victim's ability to trust their own memory and perception. Defense requires maintaining external documentation and practicing radical self-trust by refusing to argue over established facts. A gaslighter is not attempting to win an argument. They are attempting to become the sole author of your reality. Recognizing these patterns provides the discernment necessary to navigate complex social and professional landscapes. Genuine emotional intelligence relies on valuing the physical data points your nervous system provides. When a situation feels wrong despite a logical explanation, that feeling is a primary piece of evidence. Protection comes from establishing boundaries and maintaining the capacity to disengage entirely. Your mind is yours. It was always yours. Ownership of your mental reality is a constant practice. Reclaim that autonomy today.